Certainly the story of the prodigal son is familiar to all of you. I suppose that every possible aspect of the story has been preached upon. From the son who leaves a good position, goes and loses all of his money and possessions, and then because of his hunger comes back to his father's house and repents, and certainly is a story of repentance. It's also and how we go through stages, so till we finally come to ourselves and we come back to our Father. Wonderful story of repentance. It's also a story that of the Father and the great teaching that we're constantly reminded in Orthodoxy that the God of Jesus Christ, the Father of Jesus Christ, is this kind of Father. He's not the scowling face of Zeus hurling thunderbolts at unrepentant sinners or even repentant sinners. But he's the waiting Father who, when he sees us coming up the road, runs and throws his arms around us and puts the robe on us and ring on our finger and throws a party. Then there's also, of course, the story of the son who had not left his father, but yet had left his father in many ways, because even though he worked around his father and had been in his house, his heart was a very hard heart. He couldn't be glad that a son who was lost had been found, and he could not make merry with his father and his son, his brother, who would come home. Many stories that we can pick up from the prodigal son, which I'm sure you've heard sermons on many times. What else could I possibly say about this story? Well, I feel that what I'm about to say is like the old proverb, spitting in the wind. But let me take a chance and spit in the wind for a moment. What do you suppose, if you've taken time to read the fathers of the desert, the monastic fathers, what is the first and most difficult temptation that a young monk faces? Any guesses?
Lust.
Huh? Lust?
Boredom.
Good, Kemp. Give Brother John a star.
What did he say?
Boredom. I mean,
Internet withdrawal?
internet withdrawal is what we would say. Absolutely. You know, we try to think about, when we think about the son, how terrible it is, he goes and he does all this partying and then he loses everything and then he comes back, and we think what a rascal he must have been. But really, what is it that drives the prodigal to leave? Well, obviously, he just wasn't getting enough jollies at Dad's house. He was bored. He wanted to go out and party and be with friends, and to laugh and rejoice and live the good life, live in the sun, lay on the beach, live the good life. And so often, as the monastic fathers point out, that this really is a temptation not only for monks but for all of us, because, and this is where I'm spitting in the wind, how do I say to this generation that we also are like the prodigal son, wasting our riches in entertainments? How do I say to this generation, this internet, movie going, television watching, smartphone generation? How do I say that? Well, I don't know what to say to that generation, because the entertainment industry is billions of dollars, and we spend just so much to be entertained. It's such a need in our hearts to be entertained, to have diversion, to party with our friends, be it our girlfriend sitting next to us in a movie, or sitting around being friends with Judge Judy. I guess all you know who Judge Judy is. Is there anything inherently wrong in music and these things? No, not really. I mean, in the early writings of the church, the fathers said that people should not go to the theater and so forth, but it was a different experience then, because part of what was involved in the theatrical performance was a part of the before they would begin, they would dedicate to the gods and sacrifice to the gods. And so Christians were not to participate. Of course, if you went to gladiator events, one, it's killing and death, but also there's also the religious component of the gladiatorial events and the worshiping of the emperor and all that. So that was the reason. It wasn't so much that a drama or something was inherently evil. Of course, you have to look at the message. But, that in itself wasn't a problem. It's sort of like being in the army. The early church was ambivalent about it because, one, Jesus was the Prince of Peace. That was true. But yet he himself and John the Baptist did not tell soldiers who came for repentance, stop being a soldier. And so they were a little ambivalent about it. But the big problem, and where a lot of the Christian converts got into trouble in the army, is they had to swear at the altar of Caesar that Caesar was Lord. Later that Caesar was God. And as a Christian, they couldn't do that. It wasn't the act of soldiering itself. So there's nothing inherently evil in these things. But we can become we waste the treasures that our Father has given to us. We just waste them in being entertained. So am I spitting in the wind? But it's something to think about, because what has to happen is for us to get out of that cycle where we just spend so much time because of this spirit of boredom that everyone faces, including monks. To overcome that we can truly lose everything. We can. It's a danger. And usually what happens is that God in His mercy has to send a famine. And usually what happens is that we begin to experience a great famine. Sometimes people can spend so much money on entertainments, they literally lose all their money. If their entertainments are things like gambling or the lottery or other things. But what God does in His mercy, He sends a famine, because the only thing that's going to drive us away from our entertainments is when our entertainments become empty and we begin to experience in our souls a famine, a hunger. That's why the Lord said, blessed are the hungry. Blessed are the hungry, for they shall be filled. And when we're not hungry, when we're filled with entertainments, like we do in so many things, we take the good things of this world and we become obsessive and we overconsume and we cram ourselves full of these things. But when that happens and we begin to experience hunger in our souls, we say, there really is a better place. A better way to be, a better place to be. And certainly the best place of all is in my Father's house, where even the serpents eat well, are content and happy. I pray that the Lord will give all of us a good sense that when we get to the place where we are wasting our inheritance in riotous living, and that it grows within us a hunger for being in our Father's house. I suppose maybe it's true that we, like the prodigal son, think, I've done this so many times. Where I've been with God, and I've left God, and I've been with God, and I've left God. I've done that so many times. Surely this time He won't take me back. Yeah, He will. Yeah, He will. But the devil would like to convince us that this time is the straw that broke the camel's back. And our Father has turned from the loving Father of Jesus to Zeus, who will not receive us, but will only punish us. The devil would like for us to believe that. So we stay in the pig pen and starve to death, which is what He'd love to see. So keep the image of the Father in your house, in your mind. Keep the image of the Father running down the road to greet you. Keep those images in your mind. And may the Lord then give you hunger. May you not be filled with the husks and the food of pigs. May you be filled with His love. In the name of the Father, the Son,